questions to the end of the shiur. Give these results in Hebrew. So good morning everyone, we're in the middle of Sfirat Omer. And if you will look at prayers that accompany Sfirat Omer, if you have your own siddur, fine. If not, you can look at this siddur. Wait, and look on page 150 in this siddur. So you will notice that when you look at the way in which the days of the Omer are written out in these Siddurim, anyone wants to look in the Siddur? And let's go to the day's date, which is on page 152. We're now at Tet Vav Iyar, the 15th of the year. It says, Hayom Shloshim Yom, today is 30 days, Shehem Abai Shavuot, Ushnei Yamim Ba'omer, which are 4 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. Then you'll find here, I'll really deal today with the last code that's given. If you look on the next line, on the left-hand side, it says, Gevura Shebahot. It's rather cryptic. What's this mean, Gevura Shebahot? So, this is to understand Sephira, which is mentioned both in Sfirat HaOmer and also in Sfirat HaShmitot, in last week's Parsha. So there's a deeper teaching here, which goes all the way through the deeper aspects of the Chumash and the deeper aspects of many of the mitzvot. And also really the inner code of the universe, which is also the inner code of the world. So first let's speak about the universe. So let's speak about the world of sound. We know there are 7 notes which bring us to a higher octave. The octave is really the 8th note, but it's the beginning of the next higher level. So do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And that's how I used to learn it in choirs. So you get from the lower do to the higher do. The sounds, and this goes deeply into also even the scientific aspect of sound, contains 7 complete notes. Also half notes, 7 complete notes. Just like we have 7 colors in the spectrum. And then you come to the higher level. So of course you have, also all musicians know this, you have a lower level and a higher level. Some people are bass, bass, and some are sopranos. But the concept behind this, in the whole of nature, the more that there's scientific progress, the more they recognize that there is a harmony in nature, expressed in one manner by the concept of 7, which is, let's say, it's a way of counting, but much deeper than counting. The more the science progresses, we see there's a deep relationship between what's called pure physics and applied physics, pure mathematics and applied mathematics. The pure is the deeper theory which you investigate, and how it's put into practice is how you apply it. So let's now understand this in terms of the Chumash. All of us know the first chapter of the Chumash speaks about the world being created in 7 days, and then came the Shabbat. When this is mentioned in the Decalogue, generally termed the Ten Commandments, really mislabeled the Ten Commandments, but still, that's how it's known. It also mentions why we have to keep Shabbat. And it says, Ki sheishet yamim asa Hashem et hashamayim et haaretz, uvayom b'shvi Shabbat v'inafash. How can you translate, any of you, Ki sheishet yamim asa Hashem? What does that mean? Translate it literally.
That 6 days Hashem made.
Well, shouldn't it have said b'sheishet yamim? God made the world in 6 days. He created the world. It doesn't say that. It says sheishet yamim asa Hashem. Hashem made the world 6 days. So the deeper commentators say, what does this mean? It means the physical universe, we know it through 3 dimensions. In fact, it's generally referred to in common literature as the 3-dimensional world of space in which we live. The way the Tanakh puts this concept is that we live in a 6-dimensional world, or we'll call it 6-directional world. The world of space has 6 directions, which is 3 dimensions. Because you can only know a table, let's say, from 6 sides. The 6 sides are the 3 dimensions. It's really the same concept, but a different number is attached to it, which is 6. What is the 7th? The 7th is the abstract world. Even in knowing things, for example, I have in my mind the true table, which is not the table that I see. It's the table which I know to be the true table by combining different points of view together. I look at it by its height, by its length, and by its breadth, these 3 dimensions of the 6 directions. Then I make a picture of the table in my mind, which is the true table, and not the table I see concretely. And the more the science progresses, we see there's a vast gap sometimes between the true existence, even of such things as motion, and even such things as time. As motion, for example, we think that at the moment we are here sitting in a stationary position, not moving, but the truth is we're moving at an enormous rate and we don't feel it. Similar to a person who is let's say a person in a supersonic aircraft, and he feels, if it's on a high level, that he is stationary inside the aeroplane. When he looks out of the window, it says, oh, what are all this? It's whizzing past so many different countries in a few minutes. Even a child, generally speaking, goes into its train, even in its train journey, and even more so in its plane journey. For the first time, she asks the question, why are the trees and the houses moving so fast? And they're sitting comfortably in the chair. So we see from here, motion is really not what we see, but in truth it's something else. It's not, so therefore we can feel we're stationary here, but the truth is we're on a spacecraft called the Earth, which is moving at an enormous rate within space, within the wider space of the universe. So this applies to every aspect of the material world. And the concept of the Tanakh is that the world, to go it more deeply, we speak of four worlds, mentioned also in many Pesukim. We have the world of Olam HaMa'aseh, the world of facts, which we experience concretely, the concrete world. But behind the concrete world there's the Olam HaYetzirah, the world of formation, the forces. really it's the forces of the universe that produce the concrete aspects of matter. So we know today that matter is not solid, it's made up of atoms. And those atoms in terms are made up of holes of energy. So the energy of the universe, which are the root forces, which produce the appearance of a concrete world. So that's the Olam Yitzira, the world of forms, forces. Behind the world of forces is the world of creation, because the forces are all parts of the way in which Hashem is pure spirit, who is far beyond the material world, but He is the one who is the source of all energy. So if we go back to Olam HaBriya, behind Olam HaBriya is Atzilot. Atzilot means the power that is near Hashem. It's Hashem, very close to Hashem. Eitzel. Eitzel means, even Eitzel today is used for closeness. So, and if you say, so-and-so lives not in his own home, he's Eitzel, he's in another home, he's attached to another home. It's the way in which the world of human knowledge is really limited. The ultimate limit is to recognize that we are being created, and all energy has been created at every moment of time. And even human thought has been created from above, the power of being able to think. So everything goes back to the invisible, non-material, pure mind of the universe, who, however, has created within the human being also 4 levels. In other words, the neshama, the soul we have, is a breath of God. That's what neshama means, breath. It doesn't mean human breath, it means divine breath. So it's according to the way in which it's written in the Chumash and the way it is described in the oral tradition. So each human being has been given a spark of divinity. That's when you say in the morning, Moedel Fonecho, Melachai V'Kosh, Shechzatu Bi Nishmosi, Lechemlo, Ato, be saved. Ato Gros, you're the one who created the divine image. But still it's only an image of God. It's something which has as its root, it's got really the power of Hashem himself. But the way in which we experience it only is an image. And our task in life is to allow that inner spark of divinity to be recognized by ourselves as our channel to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and to try to recognize that everything that we can experience in life is a brio, it's created by Hashem, and He's created it in a yitzira, in different forms, which produce also the world of facts. So you can put it this way, the way in which, if you look at mankind as a whole, the way in which mankind as a whole feels life is Olam Asiyah. In a concrete manner, with the 5 senses, we experience the world of action. The way in which be deeper thinkers, deeper artists, they recognize the material world is based upon different forms. Also deeper scientists recognize this. They recognize that the whole of the material world is really based upon non-material formations. If you go back further, the saintly people say, what do you mean non-material formations? They don't exist by themselves. There are things that are being created every moment. And then we reach the highest level. In our daily tefillah, in fact, since many of us are learning our brachot, this is what lies behind the structure of the tefillah. Because how do we start tefillah? We start with Birchot HaShacha. Birchot HaShacha belong to Olam HaAsiyah. You'll even find some tziturim that put in certain Kabbalistic terminology. They'll even put at the top of Birchot HaShacha, the Korbanot, Olam HaAsiyah. The world of concrete experience to which we wake up in the morning. So in the morning we wake up and we say, oh, you Hashem, you've made me, you've given me life. That's not a sechvin. We recognize no difference in night and day. When we come to daytime, our intelligence begins to recognize we're given a concrete world which we didn't have when we were asleep. And then we start with the brachot. We say, oh Hashem, you didn't make me a non-Jew, you made me a man, you didn't make me a slave. Then we start with the experience of straight away the shlos and shlos and oben. Then we say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you the power of being able to have eyesight. I can see things. Then we see Mata Asurim. He gives the ability to go and move around. It's moving around, be able to move our limbs. Because when we're asleep, we're bound. We don't move our limbs. Then we see, I can stand up straight. Then we say, carry on with all the different concrete experiences, getting up in the morning. I can walk on solid ground. No, Hashem is the one who leads my steps. So we connect the concrete world with Hashem. And that's all the tefillot of the first section have to do, also even the korbanot, are ways of recognizing the material world which surrounds us, the vegetable and the animal world, all the concrete world, is really due to Hashem. Hashem is the one who produces it. Then Pesukei de Zimra, you'll see the note of Olam HaYetzirah. In Pesukei de Zimra, we go to the forces of nature, which are shown in the fantastic phenomena, so different aspects of life. But the Tehillim is filled, especially Pesukei de Zimra, with the fantastic phenomena, so beautiful, so arousing if you think about it, the different forces that exist in the world. Then when we come to Yotze Or, Choshech, then we already come to the world of creation. We see the formations in the world. They go back to the Creator, the Borei. Borei is the one who actually creates. He renews it every second. He renews the work of creation. And then we come to the Amida, to the Kedusha. The Kedusha is to recognize the transcendental world, which is near Hashem, to Olam HaTzilot. And then because when we climbed up that ladder, then we can start the ladder of creativity, and the creativity in the Yotzei HaMa'oros, and then we go on to the giving of the Torah, the bracha just before Kriyat Shema, is Hashem has given us His Torah, because the eighth to the octave, the higher level, where we see the creative power of Hashem revealing itself in this world, is shown both. Once we see what lies at the root of all the forces of the world, which is also shown through divine revelation. Well, that's the Olam HaTzilot. And that brings us to Olam HaTzilot in Kedusha. So this is the way in which we go up in the understanding of the world around us. Now this is also brought in the Sphira. So to explain to you how far the Sphira goes, it's like this. We count 6 days. It brings us to the Shabbat. Kivo Shabbat, Mikol Melachto Shebarayit Kim La'asot. Now Hashem created the world so that the world should reach its level from Beriah to go to Yetzirah, from Yetzirah to go to Asiyah. But what does it mean Hashem created so that it should be completed? Because He created the world so that man would complete it. We live in the concrete world, and our task is to relate even the lowest part of the concrete world to Hashem. Not only to recognize, like nearly all scientists recognize today, that all the forces of the universe go back to the mind of the Creator, but the mind of the Creator is such that He wants human beings to make the world complete, because it's incomplete. It's incomplete because the human being was created in the image of God, and the human species has been given the task to preserve and develop that divine image. And if we're successful, then we can bring the world to its perfection, tikkun olam. And if we're not successful, then we will be responsible, in part, because we're partners with Hashem, responsible for destroying the world, as happened in the time of the Mabul. And as Hashem has said, because the people of Israel, He's not going to allow it to happen again. Although we're very near to it. Today we're very near to the situation that there's big threats to the future of this globe. there's even ecological threats, that some of those who deal with the future of this globe, they think that in a short time there's going to be nothing left on this globe won't exist anymore. And it's being destroyed also through ecological destruction, which is taking place all the time. If not through meteorological worlds in collision. These are the two possibilities. So how can we defend ourselves against it? So Hashem has told us. He has given us a pattern whereby we can stop destruction. But we're not, unfortunately, it's very risky today. So some people out only to destroy, not just mankind. I just saw a headline this morning, I don't know what happened, but the President of America went to visit Hiroshima. So the people there, perhaps the heads of Hiroshima today, they said the President should apologize in the name of America for having bombed Hiroshima. The truth is that Einstein, after the war, together with, in fact, one of his close friends was Ernest Chain, whose son studied here in Yeshiva, who was one of the top scientists of his time, and a Nobel Prize winner. So he explained to him how they did it. Einstein said if he would know what they would do with his discoveries, he would prefer to become an installator, that means a plumber, rather than become a nuclear scientist. Huh? He didn't know enough about that. Yeah. What he meant as a professor. And so therefore they founded what's called the Society for the Social Responsibility of Scientists. In other words, we've got to find a way whereby it can improve mankind from being so destructive, and use it. The energies have to be channeled in such a way they won't bring destruction upon the world. Today the danger is enormous. So this is what Hashem has said. If Am Yisrael will fulfill their task, because we're the ones who give them the Tanakh, we're the ones who accepted the Aseret HaDibrot and the rest of the Torah, so therefore it depends upon us. So in any case, to go back to understand the way in which this theme goes all the way through every aspect of Torah life, but we'll speak about a few aspects. In other words, we're now in the middle of the Sphira. So the Sphira is again 7 days, but multiplied by 7. And after the 7 times 7, we come to the giving of the Torah. So the Torah is really an intensive higher octave. And we find this also in that in quite a few places in the Tanakh. I'll give you 2 illustrations. One is the 19th chapter of Tehillim, where it says, the heavens declare the glory of Hashem. Shemaim Mesachim Kvodehem. The Master of Gidaki and astronomers, like even until today, they recognize through investigating outer space that there is a mind behind the universe, a divine mind. And then there's a description in 7 verses of the way in which the power of Hashem is declared by the heavens. Comes through a deeper study of astronomy, has led throughout the ages, until today also, to an awareness of Hashem. In fact, I don't think we've translated to English yet, but there's the Astronomer Royal of Greenwich. Greenwich was one of the main observatories, called Dr. Vidal. So he didn't know much about Judaism, but then he studied astronomy according to what's written in the Gemara, other places. And he began to see that the sages had enormous knowledge of astronomy. He became Baal Teshuvah, and he wrote a 2-volume book called The Host of Heaven, where he demonstrates the power of Hashem shown in astronomical discoveries, and above all also in what the sages, through oral tradition, have produced an enormous high level of astronomical knowledge. And we've got the book here in the Yeshiva, maybe it's already been translated to English, it's called The Host of Heaven. So, and the same applies to many astronomers. Astronomer Jastrow, one of the major astronomers. So he says, that he brings this following mashal. He says, the astronomers of today, who's done a lot of research and based upon thousands of people who've researched the heavens in different ways, it's like a person, he says, who has gone along up a very high mountain, and then he finds out that it's already known before. Where's it known before? It's known before from the Bible. It's written in the Bible that God created the heavens and the earth. He says that's what you see today. If you study the deeper thinkers amongst the astronomers. I think he wrote a book called The Astronomers. So anyway, we count 7 times 7 to bring us to the 8th level, the high octave. The high octave is already the Olam HaAtzilut. It's the high level. And just like in the Yotzam Ma'oros, we speak about Hashem, who's the creator of the heavens and the earth, then we speak about that same dimension which is shown when Hashem revealed His will on Mount Sinai, which is also the 8th level. So in the 90th chapter of Tehillim, it goes straight over from the description in 7 verses of how the world of nature demonstrates the divine creator, and then Torah Hashem Tamima. Then it goes the high octave, the 8th verse starts, teaches us the perfection of the Torah. Torah teaches us how to bring God of nature into our daily life. Because the God of nature is a moral God, and therefore He wants us to complete the world by fulfilling our task to create moral harmony in the world. So that's the concept of the 50th day of the high octave. After 7 times 7 we come to giving of the Torah. And then you have 50 times, 50 days. Multiplied by 7 to create the days of the year minus the festival days. Festival days. And that brings us to 7 times 7 times 7. 7 times 50 makes up the year. Then you have 7 Shmitot, and you have the same type of procedure we had with days in the Sphira. We have it in years. The Shemitah followed by the Yovel. And what does the Yovel mean? Bring everything back to its roots. And that's why all the Lords of Yovel have to do, all possessions and all debts and everything goes back to the roots, where it came from. So we have 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 bringing us to the Jubilee year. Then you have 7 Jubilees which produce 350 years. 7 Jubilees. 350 years is, according to the Zohar, as an era in the life of mankind and after the life of the people of Israel that is also like a cycle through which we have to work in order to bring the world to greater perfection. And then you have 350 times 7 times, it brings us to the year when the Torah was given, from the beginning of the creation of the world, according to the account given in the Chumash. There may be in a previous world, that's another question, but the world that we're in, with this globe, according to the chronology of the Chumash, it's 2,450, which is 7 times 7 Jubilees. Not just 7 times, but 7 times 7 Jubilees. So we see this goes all the way through, and this is also found in what is described already to some extent in the Sefer Yetzirah, which is the oldest grammatical and also mystical tradition known amongst the Jewish people, attributed to Avraham Avinu.
Amen.
Thank you very much. And developed later in the Zohar, as well as far as we know, we also go ancient traditions, and the writings of the Arizal, but also hint at the Chumash, that we have the emanation of the power of Hashem into this world. That means creation is it works from the point of view of the way in which Hashem's power is shown in the world. It's shown through 10 Sephirot, 10 spheres of counting that bring the purity of Hashem into the material world. In fact, according to the deeper level, which we can't go into now, each one of the Sephirot, each one of the 4 worlds have got 7 Sephirot. But to show you where we have the 10 Sephirot, we have them in the Chumash already when it says, for example, that Am Yisrael shall build a sanctuary, which after became the basis for the temple. So it says, who's going to be able to make the plan and help to put it into practice of building the sanctuary, which represents the presence of Hashem in the world? So he says, I can only do it through a person whom I will fill with the Spirit of God, Ruach Elokim. What's the Spirit of God? It says, B'chokhmah b'tvuna v'da'at, with wisdom and understanding and knowledge.
That's
a generous. Huh?
That's a law.
Pardon?
That's a law.
That's what?
That's a law.
Betzalel. That was Betzalel. Betzalel. Betzalel is the one who was in the image of God. That means he was able to translate the image of God into special qualities, which were then shown symbolically by the different parts of the sanctuary, of the presence of Hashem in this world. So, what is the Ruach Elokim? So it's Chokhmah, Tavuna, or Bina, and Da'at. That's the origin of Chabad. Chabad is not just an organization, but the concept of Chabad, I tell you what it goes back to. It's connected closely with this verse. Because this verse, you also find the book of Mishlei, where it describes Hashem, B'chokhmah Yosad Aretz. It says, Hashem made the world with Chokhmah Bina V'Da'at. It says in Mishlei. He made the world with wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. And therefore human beings also have this power to create worlds. That's the Mishkan, to dedicate our lives to Hashem by developing these qualities. That means the great divine quality of Hashem, which is creative, is shown in Chokhmah, is Koachmah, to give different things a certain power. And Bina means power of analysis, and then Dad is a synthesis. So this is really the basic principle, which is also in different forms. You'll find it in many different writings, and which in the human mind gives us a reflection of the ways the human mind is created by Hashem. Hashem has a divine mind, but it's given the human mind similar qualities. We're B'Tselem Elokim. So the human mind has also these qualities. And that's how we can know. How can we know Hashem? We know Hashem through developing a human mind to try and connect with the divine mind. And we can do it. Chokhmah is Koachmah. First we have to have an understanding of what exists, as far as possible, at different levels. Then we have to analyze it and find out what are the deeper aspects, and then joining these two qualities. One is accepting different matters as objects of knowledge. Then you have to analyze them, categorize them into compartments, and by synthesizing the two qualities of Chokhmah and Bina, you have more complete knowledge. That really means also unification. You have an inner attachment to true Da'at, understanding. So when it says frequently Da'at Hashem, got to know how to know Hashem, it means combine these qualities. Now I'll tell you how it was applied by the Baal HaTanya, who speaks a lot about these concepts, but how did he apply it? In part, you can say, in Torah also, in Torah knowledge, we have to use these three qualities. For example, a person wants to learn something. There are many different grades at which you have Chokhmah Bina Dat can use it. If you, Omer says, for example, you want to learn any aspect of Torah, whether it's Chumash, whether it's Mishnah, whether it's Gemara, you first got to go Ligma Insha, V'hod Lisba. First you've got to have Bekiot. You've got to know what it's all about. And then afterwards you've got to try to analyze it. And then by joining together Bekiot and Eon, you get complete knowledge and mastery of the subject. You can't get mastery of any subject, at any level, unless you first of all analyze, first of all find out what are the facts, then analyze the facts, and then join the power of absorptive knowledge together with analytical knowledge, and then you have more complete knowledge. So the Baratanya applied to follow. Baratanya ultimately came from a non-Hasidic source. And he had been trained in the highest level of what today we would call the yeshiva world. And he became a master in many ways of Gemara, Shas, Bavli, and so on. It was in halacha such. It's Farim on halacha, very important, Shulchan Aruch of Baratanya. But he recognized, when he found out about Hasidut, that what was a bit missing, that's why he became a Hasid, in the world that concentrated upon knowledge, was to understand the deeper analytical aspects of Torah, which are to see how the Torah should be applied, also being as believed. It requires a power of intuition to be able to understand the significance. And therefore he said we've got to combine high level of scholarship in Torah with high level of development of the major qualities of service of Hashem, such as the service of joy and pure improvement of saintliness. So there's got to be concentration also on the inner teachings of whatever you're learning. And then together, if you combine them, that will bring Da'at, unification with Hashem. That's how he applied the concept of Chokhmah B'nei Da'at. But Chokhmah Da'at is found in the human being, at the level of the mind. Then you have the further Sfirot, Chesed Gvura Tiferet. Chesed Gvura Tiferet is a reference to the emotional level of the human being. At the emotional level, so you have the power of outreach, of wanting to do kindness to others, but kindness needs also, you've got to know when to apply it. We all know that very kind and loving parents, they have a tendency to spoil and ruin their children, because they don't give them any borderlines. And they'll say whatever the children want, we let them do. If you do that with children, then you go astray. But if you speak about a very important example, some parents, they say, oh, the children want to smoke, let them smoke. Even though every cigarette, according to modern medicine, contains 100 poisons. 100 ways of poison a human being are contained in each cigarette. And each cigarette the person smokes shortens his life. And if you can let children use cigarettes, they might drop them in case it create a fire, which has happened here in the yeshiva a few times. And why do the children do it? They say adults doing it. They say if adults do it, why can't I do it? If a teacher does it, certainly I can do it. Or a member of the staff will do it, I can also do it. And the children are irresponsible. They're altogether responsible. You don't allow children, unless they're responsible, to have a box of matches. And if you let children have a box of matches and they hurt themselves or hurt others, it's sometimes the parents' fault. So any adults walking around, and since I think everyone, so I just want to say everyone should take a lesson when you see something like this, quit smoking. It's destructive, and especially amongst young people, because they can do this, that's what happened today. And all the greatest codifiers of today, of the Torah, have said smoking is forbidden according to halakha. We have a principle in halakha, sakana is worse than isura. It's worse. You eat something treif, that's isura. You take a substance that is dangerous, it's a sakana. And it says one of the only mitzvot where it said ma'od, nishmatem ma'od nafshotechem, you've got to look after your health. And certainly you've seen, like I've seen, unfortunately, people who have died of cancer, and when they were dying, they said, please do as much as possible to get people to quit smoking. So in our yeshiva, from the time when we started, we worked on this. We've had films here to show how dangerous it is to smoke. It's very interesting, the Chofetz Chaim in his time wasn't known that it was dangerous, but he already referred to it as dangerous. It's going back over 100 years ago. Even then he said, why should people waste time on such a thing? So look, so you kind of gevura is needed, not only chesed. You've got to balance. If you want to have chesed, you've got. Of course, this is a worse example. The worst example that exists in the world today. The world says, "Oh yeah, let people do what they want." Liberalism. People should do whatever they want. Don't create restrictions on people. And what the extreme liberalists and some universalists, they say, if people feel they can only express themselves by killing others and murdering others, become suicide bombers, you have to have pity on them. And why should, even now there's talk in Israel of giving the death penalty to terrorists who don't give up the terrorism, so we're going to continue with it and kill as many innocent people as possible. So there's a debate now in the Knesset. Israel's always been very careful in this, and I probably won't go through. That's because I don't think the majority of people would allow it. I think so. We never know what's going to happen. But the people go in the other direction, and they say, today they're already accusing the victims of murder instead of the murderers. In other words, if you're going to allow a person to kill at will, and you say they're justified in killing and so on, and all sorts of twisted aspects of concepts of giving people freedom. Freedom of speech is permissible, and therefore you're allowed to say the worst things to provoke others. How can you limit people who will go and spread, they say false things, they produce propaganda of hatred and of death, but it's only talk. But it's not true. When people just speak about death and hatred, and you should kill people, it comes translated into action. And the Torah says, he who comes to kill you, and you can't disarm him, and you can't stop him killing by injuring him, then you've got to kill him. Because out to kill. Because if not, you have the world being ruled by murderers. And the strong will destroy the weak. That's what's happening. It's actually happening in front of our eyes. So we see you need the power of Gevura to stop the power of Chesed going too far. And the same applies. A person's got a serious illness, and the doctor is a tov shebarov from the beginning. They say, doctor is very kind. He says, well, the only way I can stop this illness by making an operation. Oh no, I don't take operation. So you'll have to take a very strict diet. Why should I? I'll eat what I want. Well, if you eat what you want, then the sickness is going to kill you. Says, well, but give me freedom. You can't force me to go and change my diet. But a person doesn't change his diet, he's going to lose his life. So therefore we say the health requires a balance. Don't eat poisons. There are poisons. The poisons are often needed to heal a person who's got sickness in the opposite direction. So you need a balance. That's the way of the Torah. You've got to have chesed and gevura. To balance the two together creates tiferet. The balance, that's why it says, ha'azamta le'mitzvotav. What's ozen mean in Hebrew?
Yeah, the balance, but also the ears.
Why? What's the connection?
Because you have a balance between like a water level.
When was that discovered?
I think maybe in the 50s, if I'm not mistaken.
It was discovered about 300 years ago.
Sorry.
But it's already written in the Chumash. V'azamta le'mitzvotav.
I thought you meant like modern science.
It's this idea that the Bazilim was neither, not it's the Oznayim, the two ears, which contain the fluid that causes you to have a balance, a physical balance in your system. And a person loses a sense of balance, he can't walk forward. He keeps on falling over one side or the other side because it lost its balance. So in life, to make progress, we have to have a balance. Not only the way in which we walk in the street or on a mountaintop, but also the way in which we conduct our whole lives. We've got to have a balance. And the mitzvot give us the right balance. The mitzvot do not believe in people cutting themselves off from food and drink or from married life, which is considered ideal in some religions. No, you've got to live a physical life. Hashem has given us different aspects of physical life which can bring great health to the human being. Physical health, but of course, make sure it doesn't destroy spiritual health. In all things, we need the right balance. That is the tiferet, that is hazanta le mitzvotav. The mitzvot give us the right balance of life. So here we have these three sefirot of chesed gevura. Then we have lower down in the body, because it's also got to do with the body as well. All in the human body. The one is in the brain, the emotions are near the heart, and then a bit lower down you have netzach, hod, and yesod. That refers to the instincts. The instincts we know. The instincts we share with the animals. But the instincts of the lower part of the body, which deal with digestion, is the instinct has to do with food. And the sexual instinct is important for self-preservation of the body and for procreation, for the preservation of the family, for later generations. And these are instincts which we share, and those instincts are also part of the sphere of this lower part. And then we have the feet, which is the lowest part, where we have a connection directly with the earth. So therefore you'll find the 10 sefirot in the human body. We also find the 10 sefirot, or at least the 7 lower ones. I won't go to the first 3. It says right on top of the 10 sefirot is the Keter Elyon, is the crown. Now these are emanations that all come from Hashem. They go all the way through from the Olam HaAtzilot to the Olam HaAsiyah. So the lowest part of Olam HaAsiyah is the feet. The feet is your regular connection with the earth. And as we know, life is a ladder whose head is in heaven and its foot on the earth. If you take your feet off the earth, then often you no longer live in the world of reality. And the Torah wants us to have Kimei Shamayim ala Aretz. It's really heavenly life, but on the earth. So the Torah combines, is the unity between heaven and earth. So I'm just giving you, this brings us to understand also every sphere, the permutation of Sfirot Omer. When we go through Sfirot Omer, we go through the Sfirot as far as they apply on all levels, connection with Hashem, but also on how to become a complete Tzelem Elokim, which we have to try to do to come nearer to the Torah. So therefore there are many dimensions connected with the permutations. So today we're on Gevura Shebahod. That means self-discipline. Bahod is the reference. Bahod is in fact, it's connected also with the greatest leaders of the people of Israel, which are reflected in the Ushpizin, which we put up in the Sukkah, the visitors, the leader, the models for the people of Israel, represented by Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, is Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet. Netzach and Hod and Yesod. Netzach is Moshe Rabbeinu, of course, the eternal Torah. Hod is the majesty that goes around Aaron, who was one who produced peace under all circumstances, and taught peace, loved peace. That's Hod. And Yesod is Yosef HaTzadik, who had such strong control over his instincts. And this brings up ultimately to the lowest level, which also the highest, is Malchut. Is the kingship of David HaMelech. Kingship means to bring the whole concept of attachment to Hashem, make it rule our lives from top to bottom, from the high spiritual level to the lowest material level, for the individual and for the nation of Israel.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you very much. Now let's just make a note. Switch off this here, because I think what happened last night, I don't want people to hear this, but I think we all have a responsibility.